Morning once again. Welcome to Interfaith Spiritual Center Worldwide, where we believe there is a power in the universe greater than we are, and guess what? We can use it. Can we really? We can use it. It's there. It's available for each and every one of us. And as I welcome you, I just acknowledge at a very, very deep level that we are here by divine appointment. If you tuned in at this moment, there's something here for you. Nothing happens by chance. And that as we put this energy out in waves, and looking at the law of cause and effect this morning, the Bible states it. God is not mocked, be not deceived. As you sow, so shall ye reap. The law of karma is that what we put into the law of life, what we put into the energy of life, makes its round and returns unto us. Now, some people think, oh, that's such a scary thing. But if we're sowing good thoughts and good deeds, and we're awake to the energy and the gift of life, that is going to come back to us in waves of energy. That we have the opportunity every single day of our lives to recreate our experience. That's why I love this way of life, is that we can recreate our experience. We set a cause in mind, you know, because people say, well, my God, I did this and I... No. I now redirect the energy. I now open to the universal intelligence. Because, you know what? The universe always has our back. That we are supported. That we are loved. The ground of being is love. Love points the way, and law makes the way possible. And that is the energy and the flow. And to be in the flow of life is to open ourselves and to listen to the still small voice of God within us. That is our intuition. I love this story about a gal named Joan, and she was in Nice in France. And she was in the open air market, and it was fantastic, and it was beautiful, and there were flowers. You know how it is in Europe. Flower stands everywhere, and all this beautiful cheeses and breads in the open air market. And she looked over at a table, and she thought, oh my gosh, that looks like Pablo Picasso. And she began to, you know, talk to herself and ruminate within herself, and should I, shouldn't I? And so finally she went over and she said, are you Pablo Picasso? And he looked up and he said, yes, I am. And she said, I am one of your greatest fans. Would you do me the honor of just just do a sketch of me? I thought, this is pretty courageous, right? And he took a look at her, and he had like charcoal, you know, his accoutrements of the artist world with him, and kind of sized her up and said, yes, I will. She goes, well, I'm willing to pay you. He said, yes, I will. And so he began sketching. He went off to a little table, kind of a little more secluded, where he could do this. And then he completed it, and he gave it to her, and it was spectacular. Spectacular. And she took out her checkbook from her purse and said, how much do I owe you? And he said, $5,000. She said, $5,000? My gosh, you only worked for 15 minutes. He said, I beg to differ with you, my dear. I worked 80 years and 15 minutes on this project. This is putting a value on our lives, on our work, and everything that we do. Because we are the sum total of every experience, every sadness, every laughter, every joy, every sorrow. We are the sum total of that. We bring to the altar of life who and what we are, and our expertise. So when we open this space to allow God to do what God does best by means of us, and acknowledging that there is a cause in mind for all of it, and that as we open ourselves to heal ourselves, then we can go back into the marketplace with open arms. We can begin to really assist and serve others through our own experiences. This is the whole idea of the 12-step program. I've been there, I've done that. And I was the only one in San Diego with my 3,000 member congregation that started the Adult Children of Alcoholics program, because what was determined was that if you grew up in an alcoholic home, that there were certain behaviors and survival mechanisms that were no longer appropriate once you were out in the world. They're no longer appropriate. And so I instituted this, and John Bradshaw came, who wrote many wonderful books and was ACA himself. And there was so much healing going on in our ministry. And one of the things that I realized about myself is that I was not supported in my family. And every time something wonderful happened for me, it was like, who do you think you are? Get off your high horse. I kid you not. When I was in the School of Ministry, my mother called the dean of the School of Ministry to say just how horrible I was and what a harlot I was. I'm being nice here. All this kind of stuff, and she was very drunk. And she was calling me saying, by the time I get through with you, you'll wish you were dead. And I go, thank you, I do a great memorial, I'm working on it. And, I mean, what could we do, right? Then they call my daughter and say all these things, and, you know, you called me and hung up on me, and we're going to just report you, and you're going to throw your little you-know-what in jail. And so my daughter, you know, she inherited my sense of humor. She goes, I can see it now. What are you in here for? Grand theft auto? What are you in here for? Murder? What are you in here for? Crank calls to my granny. I can see it now. So, you know, you learn to get a sense of humor about these things, but it doesn't make it any less painful. So I was going to the School of Ministry. I was working on my, I think I was in the second year of ministry. And as I approached the steps, I saw Dr. Ellis, Ezra Ellis, and Dr. Hornaday, Dr. William Hornaday, who was my teacher. And they said, hello, dear, may we speak to you for a moment? And I said, of course. And I went in, they said, your mother called. And they said, I just turned ashen. And I said, yes. And they said, Dr. Hornaday was so sweet. He said, and she had been drinking. And I said, yes. And they said, dear, we had no idea you were going through any of this. Your light is so bright in our School of Ministry that we want to give you a full scholarship all the way through. I mean, I latched on to the science of mind principles because it saved my life. It absolutely saved my life, so that I could navigate through life and realize, and I still, you know, there is a cause in mind that I still work on. And it's so interesting, if your family of origin did not support you, you create others in your life not to support you and to sabotage your efforts. And as we arise to that, he drew a circle that shut me out, but love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that took him in. Because when you love thine enemy, that is disarming. That is disarming. I had an incident where I was going out of town, and I was packing the car, and I left my gate unlocked, which I don't usually do, and so I heard, hello, and I thought it was Rob Roy, because Rob is always there to check my house out, and it's just so wonderful, and I said, hi, and so this gentleman came through the courtyard, and it was someone I'd never seen before, and it was, you know, kind of took me aback, and I said, oh, I'm leaving for out of town, and I'm just, oh, he goes, oh, of course you are, because you're taking me with you, you know, the overfamiliar thing. And I said, oh, you know, I'm on a time schedule, and I just need to go, and I'm packing the car, and I'm sorry, but, you know, I just can't engage at this moment. And then he said, well, I hope you're a lot nicer to the next visitor you have. I said, oh, I will be. They'll be invited. Right? And you just can't take that stuff on. Because what I love about our way of life, this isn't a lot of lofty principles, per se. There is a practical application. We put the works with the faith. And it doesn't mean that we don't get pissed off and things don't go on in our lives and we stamp and we do the whole thing. Set the timer, 2 minutes. Give yourself, say it all. And then after 2 minutes, when the timer is, get off it and get on with life. And when we get on with life, something begins to happen where we no longer engage, and nor do we have that need for self-punishment. And there is a need, because that's what we experienced in our former lives. So when the emotional need for self-punishment comes up, we just bless it. We bless the whole energy of it. We bless all those that were in our lives that facilitated us and allowed us to be where we are at this moment. And to forgive those that persecute you and say all manner of evil against you for his name's sake, right? Because we have the awareness, we make the adjustment. See, and people say, well, why am I always the one that has to extend? I'm always the one that has to make the first move. You have the awareness. You make the adjustment. So it's the ones with the awareness. It's not like one-upmanship. It's, hey, I'm drawing a larger circle here. And I'm including that. And I'm including all of those experiences. My daughter says, Mother, I cannot even relate to your childhood. I said, wonderful. Wonderful. I've done a pretty good job being a single mom, right? And raising you on my own, being a widow at 32 years old. And working on my own issues. And when stuff comes up today, I just declare to the universe, all cause, effect, record, and memory of that which no longer serves me returns to its native nothingness from whence it came. Because it is neither person, place, nor thing. It is only the life and the energy that I give unto it. And I refuse to energize this. I refuse to engage. I refuse to animate anything that no longer serves me. I release it. I return it to its native nothingness from whence it came. So when we're looking at a cause and effect relationship, and there are things that come up that are wonderful, because we are the sum total of all of it. And I was sharing last week that every good deed I ever did, anytime I extended myself in generosity, all took hold with this trip to India, where Dr. Natarajan said, I want to fulfill your dream of India. I was chauffeured all over southern India. I was at all of his 4 homes and with the chefs asking, what I would like, and all of these wonderful maids that, were just there to fulfill my dream of India, and to see it all, the human condition, and to realize that there is a power for good in the universe greater than we are. And though I see the drunk lying in the gutter and the saint kneeling at the high altar in ecstasy, I will see no difference. For each are expressing the one life in their own tongue. And I only steal from the best. That's Ernest Holmes. Though I see the drunk lying in the gutter and the saint kneeling at the high altar in ecstasy, I will see no difference. For each are expressing the one life in their own tongue. And it was really interesting that before my father passed, he came to me. And he had seen me on a television program that I used to have, a syndicated program from San Diego to LA. It was called Passport to Life. And he saw me, and he was just like amazed. And so it was interesting. He came on a Father's Day, and I was doing my talk, and it was really interesting because I went from we greeted everyone, and then I went straight to my talk. We didn't reach out and touch. We didn't do anything. I was so thrown when I thought I saw him at the very, very back of, 2,000 people in the room, in the very last row. And then I had this amazing vocalist, and she was a pianist, and she played jazz, and her name was Tess. And Tess went to her watch, and I looked up, and we got 30 minutes to go. I've done my talk, We didn't do songs. We didn't do it. I was so thrown. And then I said, oh my gosh. I thought I saw my father in the audience, who I have not seen in 10 years. And we were estranged, for obvious reasons. And I walked down the aisle. It kept walking. And in those days, I did not have a microphone that was cordless. It was on a cord. So halfway down, I looked, and And I said, "Are you my father?" And he went like this. And I said, "You look so much like my father." So I dropped the mic and I walked the rest of the way, and I saw that it was my father indeed. And, you know, I'm very open about my life. I feel like I'm not up here to tell you how great I am. And, you know, that's not who I am. I've been on a journey just like you. I hope I have a certain level of mastery, having been in the ministry for 40 years. And that as issues come up, that we heal them. And so everyone sort of knew my relationship with my father, that I didn't have one. And I just embraced him, and he embraced me sobbing. And after the service, he apologized. Now, not too many adult children of alcoholics get that, but I did. And he said, "You've done so much, you've gone so far," and he began to sob. And I can't take any of the credit. And he just sobbed. And I just took him in my arms and I said, "You know what, Daddy? I wouldn't be who I am today without those experiences. I wouldn't trade them for anything, neither would I repeat them." And then we had this healing. So my daughter got to know the grandpa that was loving and kind, not the abusive, child-battering alcoholic that I grew up with and that my sister took her own life. So she got to know this other person. So there was a recreation of relationship. There was a new cause set in motion of love. And for me to forgive so I could move on in my life and not carry that cross. Remember, get off the cross, we need the wood. I mean, we carry these crosses around and they don't serve us. They only hurt us. So the day came when the risk to open, you know that, but was greater than the pain of remaining closed. That we are all blooming and blossoming where we are, setting new causes in mind, creating the effects that we want in our life, that we cherish, and the opportunity to go where? Higher yet. Where? Higher yet. Where? Higher yet. And so it is. God bless you.